I made like 100 today, but was hungry and looking real bummy today. You was bony and looking too funny today. I don't care, nigga still made Cheeze. Let's go. I made like 100 today, but was hungry and looking real bummy today. You was bony and looking too funny today. I don't care, nigga still made Cheeze. Let's go.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Chatting with Cheeze podcast. And I'm your host, Cheeze. And today I wanted to do something a little quick, something slight. We just officially wrapped up round one of the NBA playoffs. So I thought today I'd just come and, just talk about a couple of things that happened over the weekend and past few days and everything like that. Once again, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Appreciate all the subscriptions so far, and I just want to let this be known. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share all content. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, don't forget to follow me on all socials: X, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, things of that nature. But the most important thing is, for all my audio listeners, the Chatting with Cheeze podcast is now available via audio. So if you have Spotify, that's for you can go on Spotify, download the podcast, listen to it. You don't have to now go on YouTube and watch the videos and everything like that to have access to the podcast. And also to all my iPhone users, it's also available on Apple Podcasts. So all you got to do is click the link in the bio. Go there. It's going to be in my link tree sections. It'll say it right there. Chatting with Cheeze podcast audio. Click it, and it is available on Spotify and also on Apple Podcasts. So let's go ahead and get into it. This is episode 4. So I told y'all we getting it rolling. Let's jump right into it. I don't want to waste too much time. I just finished watching the Cavaliers versus Magic. Game 7 to end round 1. Cavaliers end up coming out victorious. They'll head to the second round to play the Boston Celtics. But we're going to go ahead and just jump into that game, what I saw, and break it down. So for that game right there, Magic came out hot, knocked down shots. Polo Banchero came out, started off early. And with this game right here, I kind of felt like leading into it was kind of like that young team hit that wall. They started off hot, but then eventually they hit that wall. And then, the Cavaliers having a couple of vets, Donovan Mitchell, guys that's been there before, kind of just taking over towards the end and getting the victory. As far as for the Magic, though, they started out solid. Like I said, Polo Banchero ended with 38 points, 16 rebounds. He went 10 of 28 from the field. It wasn't the most efficient game because in the second half, you could tell the Cavaliers went in, made adjustments, and kind of anchored down and said, we're not going to allow this young man to beat us. But once again, the Magic are a young team, so for them to have the year that they had, end with the 5th seed, that's a great year for the Magic. As everybody know, if you've been watching, the Magic has been one of those teams that has been like one of the lower tier teams for the last couple of years. They've had lottery pick after lottery pick, and now you kind of can start to see it pay off. So for them to take a Cleveland team who has a couple of vet guys who's been to the playoffs multiple years, for them to take them to a Game 7, I feel like that's something that the Magic can build off of, nothing to be ashamed about. You had Suggs. He gave you 10 points, 9 rebounds. Again, 2 of 13 from the field, 2 of 10 from 3, but he went 4 of 5 from the line. They struggled. But you could tell, like I said, I don't want to keep reiterating the same thing. They're a pretty young team, so you can expect that of a game of this magnitude. You got to remember, Cleveland lost last year on their home floor in the first round, so they didn't want that to happen again. So a Game 7 for a young team like this, you kind of expect these numbers. Wagner, he gave you 6.6 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 of 15 from the field, 0 of 5 from 3. Wendell Carter had a pretty solid game. He gave you 13.7 rebounds, 5 of 10 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3. But like I said, they can build off that. I like this Magic team. I kind of feel like they may be like 1 star away. I like Banchero a lot. I just feel like I would give him like that all-star status, but I wouldn't quite give him that superstar status. I feel like if during the offseason they've been linked to Paul George, that they may go out there and look to add somebody. Paul George's name is one of the names that have been linked to the Magic. But if they can go out there and find another guy that they can put beside Banchero, I feel like the Magic can honestly be a threat in the Eastern Conference. I like the coach, Jamal Mosley. He showed this year that he's a pretty solid coach. He can coach this young team. And I just feel like I said, it was a team. Donovan Mitchell had a hell of a game. And we all know Donovan Mitchell from his Utah days. He's been there before. Donovan Mitchell is a superstar in this league. And he just took the game over. I think in the first half, Magic came out hungry. They came out aggressive, attacking the rim, hitting open shots. Like I said, Banchero, but I think in that second, Banchero came out aggressive, went to the line. He went 15 of 18 from the line. So you could tell that he came out aggressive, attacking. But I just think in that second half, Cleveland came out with a game plan. They said, we're going to anchor down. We're not going to let this young man beat us. Donovan Mitchell had a hell of a game. He ended with 39, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. 11 of 27 from the field, 2 of 8 from 3, but he also went 15 to 17 from the line with a plus 17. So this all around was just a Donovan Mitchell game. Donovan Mitchell said he refused to allow this young team to come in his house in the Game 7 and leave with a victory. And he completely, that third quarter from the Cavs was so important because, like I said, Magic came out early, hot in that first half, and like I said, they came on the attack. And I feel like in that third quarter, that second half, Cleveland came out and just settled down a little bit and said, okay, now we're going to make y'all play our game. Like I said, Donovan Mitchell had a hell of a game. Evan Mobley gave you 11 points, 16 rebounds, 5 of 8 from the field. Matt Strus also had a really good second half, especially in that third quarter. He ended with 13, 3 of 6 from 3. Darius Garland struggled. I feel like if Darius Garland would have came out and had the game that we all know he can, that honestly the game probably wouldn't even had to been a rally from Cleveland. Darius Garland struggled. If you watched the game, you seen Donovan Mitchell kept having to, you know what I'm saying, grab him up, be that vet, let him know like, hey, man, play your game, keep shooting your shot, don't get discouraged. It's a Game 7. Game 7 is not meant for everybody. I think when it comes to Game 7s, you can throw all the stats and all that out the window. It's about who got that dog in them enough to make the important plays to win the game at the end of the day. Darius Garland hit some timely shots. He ended the game with 12. He went 3 of 13, 1 of 4 from 3, but he went 5 of 6 from the line, so he made his free throws. But an important part of the game was Karis LeVert. Donovan Mitchell needed somebody to come along with him, and Karis LeVert picked up that load. If you watch Karis LeVert from his days in Brooklyn, we all know he could score the basketball. He's always been able to do that. He gave you 15 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He went 5 of 9 from the field, and he went 5 of 7 from the line. So, like I said, I like this Magic team. It was a hell of a game. They gave Cleveland a dogfight, but I just feel like when it come down to it, it was a team that's been there before versus a team that haven't been there before. But like I said, to all my Magic fans, this is nothing to hang your head about. We all know where the Magic have been these last couple of years, and for them to end up with the 5th seed in the East and take Cleveland to a Game 7 and actually have a chance at the end to win, it kind of like Cleveland kind of pulled away at the end, but for the most part, it was a nip and tuck ball game. Like it never really got out of hand until the very end when Cleveland started to pull away. So kudos to the Magic. Like I said, I feel like if they go in the offseason and try to find somebody they can put along with Banchero, I feel like the Magic can be a threat in the Eastern Conference. So, like I said, I look forward to seeing how they build off of this year and moving forward going into next season. All you Cleveland fans, I heard that we won Boston chant. Y'all get Boston in the second round. We going to see. That's a series I'm looking forward to. Now, let me throw this out there. And hear me out. I'm not saying that Cleveland is going to win the series. But we all know Porzingis suffered an injury in this round 1. Now, there's been reports saying that they don't know the length, how long he'll be out, and it's possible he could miss the entire second round. if Boston go in this series and without Porzingis, I'm not saying that Cleveland is going to win the series, but I definitely give them a better shot to win the series without Porzingis. If Porzingis don't play, I give Cleveland a hell of a shot to pull an upset. I'm not saying that they're going to, because I still feel like Boston have guys that, Boston have guys that can compete at a high level, and I feel like Boston have guys that can kind of pick up the slack. True Holiday, Derek White, of course Tatum, Brown. You still got guys like Al Horford over there, guys like that. But I'm just saying that if y'all remember from, I believe it was episode 2 when we talked about the playoffs, I said how important Kristaps Porzingis was to the Celtics because and how he made them much more dominant than they was because of the things that he can do. So without him, I feel like I give Cleveland, I'm not saying that they could win the series, but I definitely give them a better shot than I did previous if Porzingis was playing. So we're gonna move right along that. We're gonna move into Saturday night. We're gonna move into Saturday night with the series that I'm most looking forward to, and I ain't gonna lie. We're gonna start with the Wolves versus the Nuggets. Now I'm not gonna lie. I picked the Nuggets in 7. I'm not backing down from that. But man, the Wolves, they just keep gaining more and more and more and more respect from me, bro. Like, Anthony Edwards, you are a dog, my boy. Like, real live. Wolves came in the game, and early they came out aggressive. They came out aggressive, wanting to set the tone, and you could tell they came on a mission. They came in on a mission early. Anthony Edwards gave you 43, 7 rebounds, 17 of 29 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3, 6 of 6 from the line, and ended with a plus 10. We all knew what Anthony Edwards was coming to do. Anthony Edwards is showing everybody that I've arrived. I'm trying to take over the league. Everybody's saying he the future once guys like Bron, Steph, KD go. Anthony Edwards is showing you this is my league right now. I'm trying to take over right now. He had a hell of a game, and he continues just to have a hell of a playoffs and show everybody that he is a legit superstar in this league. Rudy Gobert gave you 6, 13 points, 6, 13 rebounds. Like I said, I said it from the beginning. Rudy Gobert wasn't going to be important in this series for offense. He's going to be important for what he can give you on the defensive end. We all know what Rudy Gobert represents on the defensive end. He's been Defensive Player of the Year. He's been, always in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. So we know what he represents. He gave you 13 rebounds, but he also gave you 3 blocks, which are important, and he ended with a plus 12. Mike Conley, remember what I said in the last episode about guys being important, those role players. Mike Conley was one of those guys that I brought up. He gave you 14 points, 10 assists, 5 of 8 from the field, 3 or 4 from the 3, which is huge, and he ended with a plus 20. So like I said, Mike Conley was one of those guys I named. Always, when you look at series like this, I always mention the others. Every time when it comes down to playoffs, you have a certain type of expectant things that you expect from your stars. So like I said, you expect Anthony Edwards. You expect Karl Anthony Towns. You expect guys like that. But when your others like Mike Conley can give you production, that's just like icing on the cake. Then you got Karl Anthony Towns, who I just spoke of, one of your stars. He gave you 20 points, 4 rebounds, 8 of 13 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, and he ended with a plus 6. So I think if I'm not mistaken, every starter for the Wolves ended with a plus. On the plus minus. Every starter for the Wolves ended with a plus. So that's good. But like I said, you expect that from Karl Anthony Towns. He's been great since coming back from injury. But, and this is the key, remember what I just said. I named Mike Conley as one of the others. The bench, another. Naz Reid gave you 16 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 7-11 from the field, and he went 2 of 4 from 3. He outscored Denver's bench by itself. So that's huge. Like I said, when you can get that production from your other guys, including what your stars give you already, that's just icing on the cake for me. Naz Reid had a solid game. They also ended with 23 total bench points. Alexander Walker didn't really have a big game, but he's another guy who's capable of coming off the bench and giving you solid production. So, like I said, the Wolves are a scary team, man. Like they a scary team, and for them to steal one early, especially, I always say to every series, and this is me, I always say in every playoff series, game one is the most important because a team can come out early and set the tone. I feel like with Minnesota coming out still in game one, now this puts all the pressure on Denver. Like all the pressure on Denver. Even if they win game two, you still got to go to Minnesota, and this puts so much pressure on Denver. Like for them to come out and steal game one, that was huge. So shout out to Minnesota, and we gonna move on to the Nuggets. You know what you get from Jokic. He gave you 32, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, 11 of 25 from the field, 8 of 8 from the line, but he had 7 turnovers, which is huge for somebody like Jokic, who prides himself off efficiency and, things of that nature. 7 turnovers, that's pretty bad, but he gave you 32 points. At this point, we all know what Jokic is going to give you. Like I said, it always comes down to your other guys. Michael Porter Jr. gave you 20 points, 6 rebounds, 6 of 13 from the field, 4 of 7 from 3. Michael Porter Jr. has been having an awesome playoffs. I feel like Jamal Murray struggled in this game. If I'm not mistaken, he had a really bad first half. I think he might have ended the first half with like 0 points. He might have ended the first half with like 0 points or something of that nature. But I feel like Michael Porter Jr. kind of picked up the slack for Jamal Murray. But in this series right here, you can't afford for Jamal Murray to struggle, and period. Like, you need Jamal Murray to give you that production because you got dogs in Minnesota. They giving you production over there. But I feel like Michael Porter Jr. kind of picked up that slack a little bit. Like I said, Minnesota came out aggressive. Denver was kind of able to weather the storm, make some big shots, and they and they came, and I think they actually end up taking the lead going into the second half. Like I said, I just spoke on the Jamal Murray. He gave you 17 points, 6 of 14, 2 of 4 from 3, but he was a negative 22. And like I said, he struggled that whole first half, kind of started hit some shots in the second half, but we know that right there wasn't a traditional Jamal Murray game. I expect him to have a bounce back game in game 2. KCP really didn't give you anything. Like I said, when it comes to series like this, it's always about your other guys. If you got Naz Reid for Minnesota giving you 16, Michael Conley giving you 14, you need your other guys to give you some kind of production other than Jokic, Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray. Guys like KCP and Aaron Gordon are going to be important for this series. So he gave you 6 points, 2 of 4 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3. Aaron Gordon gave you 9 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 of 6 from the field. And they only had 15 bench points. Like I said, Naz Reid outscored their bench by itself. So I expect Denver to have a bounce back game in game 2. But like I said, now all the pressure is on them. You need, like I said, you're going to need guys like KCP to step up. You're going to need guys like Aaron Gordon to give you more production. And you're going to need Jamal Murray to have a much better game than he had in game 1, especially in that first half. So moving on to my next topic, like I said, this is going to be a quick one. We ain't going too much go around. We just going to go ahead and try to go through it. My next topic, and people been hitting me up telling me to speak on this, should the Clippers blow it up after losing to the Mavericks in the first round? We all know. In my opinion, I feel like they should blow it up. I think it's time. I think you should look to move Kawhi Leonard. I seen something where I was watching First Take, and Stephen A. had said, he's been saying it for a little bit, for quite some time. He's been saying that Kawhi Leonard is probably one of the worst superstars to have on your team, and unfortunately, I agree. Because, I mean, we all know what Kawhi Leonard is going to give you in the regular season. We know that. But you cannot keep having year after year after year after year after year. You put the Clippers have a solid team every single year. Since Kawhi and Paul George came together, the Clippers have had solid teams year after year after year. We cannot keep going through. We cannot keep load managing, going through the year after year, and then we get to the playoffs and Kawhi is breaking down every single year come playoff time. You can't keep having it. I mean, unfortunately, enough is enough. These guys have been together since 2019. They've been to the Western Conference Finals one time. That's terrible. For you to have a superstar and Kawhi Leonard and an All-Star and Paul George, and for you to only have one Western Conference Finals appearance, that's terrible. They haven't been to 0 NBA Finals. It's either one or the other. Either Paul George is out for a length of time, and we all know. And I said it. I said going into round one that I was mostly looking forward to the Clippers and the Mavericks series. And what was the main thing I said? It would all be dependent on Kawhi Leonard's health. And I feel like it's the same thing every year. He gets injured, either going into the playoffs or like last year when they played my Suns. He cooked us in game one, and then he ended up getting injured and not playing. And we all know Kawhi. He can get, if he tweak it, if he do anything, if he feels sore, anything, he's not going to play. But it's weird to me that you get hurt. You can't play the entire you came back and played 2 games in this series. You go out, you didn't play the last 2, but then you plan on playing for Team USA in the summer. That's unacceptable. If I'm Steve Ballmer, I'm looking for a trade partner, maybe see if I can send them somewhere. And like I said, if you're going to trade Kawhi Leonard, I just feel like you blow the team up. I understand that you going into, one second. I understand that you're going into a new stadium next year and, you want to put asses in the seats, but you can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over. That's like insanity. It's like, you brought in James Harden. I respect James Harden. Remember at the beginning of the playoffs, I challenged James Harden. Besides that one stinker that they had, I believe that was game 5, where I think him, Paul George, and Russell Westbrook combined for like 20-some points. I can't remember the exact stats off the top of my head, but it was a bad game. Besides that, I feel like James Harden had a pretty solid first round. He had a pretty solid playoffs. But James Harden is getting up there in age. If you're going to ship off Kawhi Leonard, there's no way in the world. Y'all not even making the Western Conference Finals with Kawhi Leonard. So you think if you trade Kawhi Leonard, what you going to try to go with Paul George and James Harden? No, I just will blow the entire team up. That's me personally, because I feel like if you try to go into it next year doing the same thing and the same thing reoccurs where Kawhi gets injured and he can't play in the first round, or he gets injured during the first round and can't play, I feel like every time this happens, his trading value is going down and down. Teams are not going to be willing to give up to give you a bunch of assets or valuable assets if the guy that they're trading for can't stay healthy come playoff time. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So if I'm them, I would think about it, decide what I want to do, and me personally, I would move on and rebuild. I would let Paul George walk in free agency, which I honestly have a feeling that may end up happening anyway. I would let Paul George walk in free agency, and I would see if I could find a trade partner to maybe get some assets for Kawhi and just start a rebuild. They've been together, like I said, since 2019. It's been 5 years. Kawhi Leonard has a 14-14 playoff record with the Clippers. Paul George has a 13-13. So they're middle of they're literally 500. Like they're pedestrian. Like that's what I'm saying. It's like the same thing every year. It's like no matter how hot the Clippers come out, they can win 20 games in a row. The same question is going to come back to them every single time, and that's what's going to happen come playoff time. What is going to be their health come playoff time? And literally, it's the same thing every single year. Either somebody gets injured, more than likely it's going to be Kawhi, and then that's just the end of their season. Ty Lue, I feel like is a solid coach. I would keep Ty Lue around. Like I said, you just got to build an infrastructure. You got to try to get assets and build around that. But like I said, me personally, I can't tell them what to do. I'm not an owner, but I'm not going to keep repeating the same thing over and over. I would blow it up, see if I could find a trade partner for Kawhi, and I would just go ahead and allow Paul George to walk via free agency. Moving on from there, I didn't get a chance to talk about it earlier in the week because I had already, done my last episode and everything like that. But the Tank and Frank Martin press conference was yesterday. So they brought it up, so I'm going to talk about it. As everybody know, earlier this week, breaking news had come out that Ryan Garcia had tested positive for PEDs. I think they tested him the day of and the day after, or the day before and the day after, one of the two, and They saying that both tests came back positive for PEDs when he fought Devin Haney. Which was about 2 weeks ago on April the 20th. I've been going back and forth with people. I'm not gonna say whether he did it or he didn't do it, or if it's true or if it's not true. My only question about it is this. I feel like that you got a lot of people, some people saying they believe he did it, some people saying they don't believe he doing it. Of course, Ryan saying it didn't happen. You got Tank saying he don't believe it's true. Then you got other people like Clarissa Shields coming out saying that it's a lot coming from both sides. I'm not going to say whether I believe it or not. I've been going back and forth with people. Once everything finally comes out, then I'll come out and give my full thoughts on it. My only question about it is this. This is one of the biggest fights of the year. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not the biggest boxing guy, but I do know a lot about boxing. And I just find it weird that after 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks, I think it was about like 11 days or something like that, now all of a sudden the results come back that the man tested positive for PEDs. Now we talking about one of the biggest fights of the year. We talking about, you had ample time. I find it weird that not 2 days after the fight, 3 days after the fight. Okay, if that's the case, that's acceptable. But we talking about 11 days after the fight. We talking about all this stuff been going on. We know Ryan been on kind of like a tour ever since he won. We know the Trump thing. I think he took a picture with Trump or whatever the case may be, was seen with Trump, whatever. I'm not a conspiracy theorist or whatever the case may be. I just find it odd. I had people telling me, well, in UFC, they saying that the tests have always been like that. When John Jones got busted, it was like a couple of weeks later or whatever. If that's the case, then the testing is flawed and it need to be fixed. Because you mean to tell me that y'all are testing people the day of the fight, before the day, a day before the fight, and all this and all that, but the results don't come back 2 weeks later, so somebody can get in the ring and actually kill somebody. We're talking about a combat sport, and kill somebody, but we won't find out that they tested positive for a drug in their system until 2 weeks later. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. And then it's crazy. It's like soon as the news broke that Ryan tested positive for PEDs, they had Devin on ESPN a night later or the same night. It's just a lot of weird stuff around it. Like I said, I don't know. Maybe that is how the testing have been going, but I feel like that if that's the case, then it's flawed. If we talking about this is one of the biggest fights of the year, like I stated before. Those test results should have came back immediately, or at least the day after or 2 days after. For it to come back a whole 11 days after, I just feel like it's weird. Like I said, I don't know 100%. I seen that Ryan said that he requested for his B sample to be tested. So once everything fully comes out, then I'll be able to elaborate on it more. I just wanted to touch on it because I didn't get to touch on it in my last episode. Like I said, he also posted that his results leading up all the way up to the fight was negative. And then you test them the day of the fight and then the day after or the day before, and it comes back positive. I just don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. It just comes off weird to me. And I just wanted to touch on it because I wasn't able to touch on it before. And it was brought up in the Tank and after the Tank and Frank Martin press conference yesterday. They was asking Tank about it, so I just wanted to talk about it. So that's it for me today. Like I said, I just wanted to come on here and shoot this quick little episode, just touch on a couple of things. And now we're going to get ready for round 2 of the playoffs. We got a bunch of stuff coming. And like I said, do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, like and share all content. Follow me on all social media platforms. And like I said, I'm going to reiterate this again. For all my audio listeners, the Chatting with Cheeze podcast is now available via audio on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Y'all already know the motto. No gimmicks, only the real. I appreciate y'all and see y'all next time.